أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وأهل بيته وبارك وسلم. Thank you everyone for joining. This is another episode of the Second Golden Age podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Sabreen, and we are going to be having our guest, Dr. Hamid Naseem Rafiabadi. Just to give you a little bit of an introduction on what Second Golden Age is, it's a series of videos, articles, online courses, and podcasts, all discussing how the Quran was central in developing, in producing one of the world's greatest scientific and intellectual revolutions in history, and how we today, taking those principles and reverse engineering them, we can set about the path for a second golden age, something similar to what our, previous generations did. So for that, we have Dr. Hamid with us in this episode. And Alhamdulillah, we had a brilliant episode with him, the last one, where we talked about Islamic philosophy. So I'm going to give you a recap of what was discussed in the last episode, and then we're going to go straight into the questions for Dr. Hamid. Now, in the last episode, we spoke about the general features. Dr. Hamid took us through a journey through Islamic philosophy and what were the general features of Islamic philosophy. How instrumental the Quran was in invoking the spirit of rational thinking in early Muslim communities, and how the first group of Muslim thinkers sought to harmonize certain elements of Greek philosophy with Islam, just because they saw that Islam had a very rationalistic appeal, as you can see from the Quran. So there were things that they did right, but then there were controversies that arose when they elevated reason over revelation. And we were really grateful to Dr. Hamid. He gave us a very nuanced picture of where they were right and where they went wrong. So it's important for our viewers to note and understand that while Islam is a rational religion, there are elements in our deen which are supra-rational. They're not irrational, they are above reason. So for that, now we're going to move in and we want to understand the positive elements of Islamic philosophy, how Islamic philosophy contributed towards building the Islamic intellectual tradition. All of it. I'm talking about the theology, I'm talking about the spiritual schools, I'm talking about the science. So we want to ask Hamid, Dr. Hamid, sir, how, like throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us reasons and rational arguments to know Him and to worship Him, as we've discussed before. So, how did Muslim philosophers contribute to this particular field of rational arguments for God's existence? Like, this is a field that is still used. We do hear Christian apologists use this, Muslim apologists use this, and I don't think so it will ever go out of fashion. So, how did these intellectuals use their knowledge and their methodology to produce some of the best and most convincing rational arguments for God's existence?
So first of all, I would like to mention that many rational arguments have been provided by Quran about the existence of God, about various qualities of God. So Quran is full of such details, and mostly human reason has been addressed. When any problem is being brought to fore and the grandeur of God's power is being mentioned, then arguments are given in Quran. And there are two types of verses in Quran. One are known as mutashabiha and second are known as muhkama. Mutashabihat are those verses which have more than one meaning, and where there is possibility of getting lost in the plethora of various interpretations, and where we have been told that we should just believe in those verses which are mutashabihat. And second category of verses are muhkamat, which are very clear in their meaning. So about the unseen world, about ghaib, these mutashabihat are there. We have to believe in mutashabihat, and we can act on muhkamat, and we can think about that. And almost all the verses of Quran which pertain to commandments, these are muhkamat. And there we have been told to use our reason. And there are many hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ that whenever you are confounded with any problem, you should use your reason. When Prophet ﷺ sent Hazrat Maaz bin Jabal anhu to Yemen, he was asked by Prophet ﷺ how he will decide the matters there. He will say, Bikitabillah, that I will see the reply of the emerging situations in light of the Quran. And if I don't find there, then I will see the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But then he was asked by Prophet ﷺ, if you don't find even there, what you will do? He said, Ijtahadu birai wala alaw. I will use my reason. I will do ijtihad, and I will not make any hesitation in making ijtihad. So it shows that Quran had emphasized that people should use their reason, and our Prophet ﷺ has also encouraged people to use their reason whenever there is the problem, which needs rational interpretation. So this is a very important point. So far as our philosophers are concerned, starting from Al-Kindi, Yaqub Al-Kindi, to Imam Ghazali, then Ibn Rushd, and then Ibn Tufail, Ibn Baja, and Iqbal, Ibn Khaldun, and so many scores of the Muslim philosophers and thinkers and writers, they have made a lot of attempts to provide rational argumentation or the existence of God. For example, when we see Ibn Sina, he has brought three arguments. One is Wajibul Wujud, second is Mumkinul Wujud, and third is, which is not Mumkinul Wujud at all. So either there is something which is Wajibul Wujud, which is necessary by itself, or there is something which is contingent, or there may be something which is impossible in existence. And then he says that God is the necessary existence. God can't be anything else than existent. So he is existing, and he brought argument from the universe. There are many things in the world which are contingent. They are dependent on some, cause. But God is self-caused. He has no cause. And his existence is wajibul wujud, necessary being. And in this way, this was one of the arguments. In the same way, Al-Kindi has said that we need to bring argument for God, and even those people who are opposing philosophy, they have to say why they are opposing philosophy. If they say that why they oppose philosophy, they use their reason, and that is philosophizing. If they don't use reason, it means that they feel that we don't need philosophy at all. But even to reject philosophy, we need reason, and that is philosophy. So interesting. And for even proving God and showing the harmony between religion and philosophy, we have to use the reason. So they have brought rational argumentation to fore. And then Mu'tazilites. Mu'tazilites, they have talked about Tawheed. For example, when they talk about Tawheed, they say that we are the people of justice and Tawheed unity. They say that God is necessary being, and God has his existence, and his wujud is very important. His existence is very important. But his qualities these are over and above his existence. And then they brought argument for that. They say if we say that there are many qualities of God, then it means that then God's existence and God's qualities and attributes are existing together. That will be ta'atuti qudma, coexistence of the eternals. So God should be not having these qualities as separate from his essence. And then they bring argument for the Tawheed of God from this argument, and they present argumentation for showing that God's essence is everything, and whatever qualities God attributed to God, those are because of essence, not because of the attributes. For example, God is knowledgeable not by knowledge but by his existence. Alim bizarre, Kareem bizarre, Rahim bizarre. He is not, having quality, and because of quality he is knowledgeable. Because of quality he is merciful. Because of quality he has different type of, attributes. But because of the essence, so this is also an argument for the existence of God. And then the same, attitude has been also shown in a different way by Asharites. They have also presented arguments. At least they tried to prove 7 qualities of God. One of these was Hayat, and then Qudra, and then Ilm. And then the Maturidians, they have talked about 8 qualities of God. And those 8 qualities are that is knowledge, qudra, irada, samat, basarat, kalam, and taqweed. So in this way, they have just shown that these are the essential qualities of God, and other qualities are secondary. And then they gave arguments why they say like this. In the same way, when philosophers or the mutakallimin, they are justifying freedom of will. And they say man can't be ordered for a thing on which he has no control. And if we say that man is determined already, then why he is being called to do this and that? Why he is commanded to do this action or that action when he has no power to act? And therefore, God has definitely given man power. And then they say there are 2 things in Quran. One is al-wa'ad wal-wa'id, that Allah has given, promises for, those actions which are good. And he has warned against the bad actions. He has admonished. So it means that when these 2 terms are, existing in Sharia, in Islam, so man should be free. He should have power to act. If he has no power to act, why he has been commanded to do so that? And in this way, then they have tried to prove existence of God and His commandments and His sifat and zat on the basis of argumentation. And they have brought new arguments, especially cosmological argument, ontological argument, and causal argument, which were later on taken up by Kant and also by Descartes and other philosophers of the West. So, and also, Maimonides and Saadia Gaon and Aquinas and others. So in this way, Muslim philosophers have brought very important arguments. For example, when they talk about intelligences, they talk about 10 intelligences. But who is above and over the intelligences? That's God. And He is the basis of every existence. He is the cause of cause. And He is the unmoved mover. And these points they have taken from the Greeks, but they have also added many Quranic verses when they were explaining these different type of concepts which they had taken from the Greeks. In this way, Muslim philosophers and mutakallimin, they have provided very cogent and very astute arguments for showing the existence of God or showing the qualities of God, or some of them have denied the qualities of God. But for that, like Mu'tazilites, they have provided argumentation. And even Maturidians, they say that we should know God by reason also. Had the prophets not come to the world, still man was obliged to understand God, to know God. He could not say that I do know God because he has been given reason. And as Al-Razi would say, that one of the prophets or the messengers of God is reason. So through reason, man can understand God and his qualities and his obligations towards God. So in this way, Muslim philosophers have extensively used rational argumentation for proving the existence of God and disproving their viewpoint of their opponents.
MashaAllah, that's very, very nice, very detailed, and very nice to know. And this is a subject, like I said, it never goes out of fashion. It's still used. And many of our viewers will be aware how a very famous Christian scholar and apologist William Lane Craig uses the Kalam cosmological argument. That is a Muslim argument. Obviously, they've altered the Greek arguments and then made the changes with regards to their belief in the Quran, whatever the Quran had to say. Now, moving on,